Hello and welcome to Tabletop Dub Shot, a live action D&D game with all baristas. With me today, with minimal introduction, because we have a different introduction planned, we have Bela.
Hello.
We have PE.
Hi.
And Jordan.
What's up?
Very cool, you guys. We are doing something a little different today. We just wrapped up chapter 1 of our stories that we've told. So we've just finished recording 30 episodes. So shout out to all of you guys for making your way here and for everyone that's playing at this table. So really appreciate you guys. But as we finished up chapter 1, we thought it'd be fun to just a couple questions that listeners have sent our way. And then I kind of wanted to throw that to the players as well. If there was any what ifs, any questions that they had, any thoughts or comments or concerns. But I think for one of the easiest ones, so this is shout out Marcus out in Las Vegas for sending this question. But the question he had was, why did everyone choose the class that they did?
Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so let me be honest. My half D&D experience, I've only played a bard and I'm still trying to play a full bard, but Renee was like, no, we already have a bard. And I was like, I don't think you said no, but you were like, we already have a bard. Okay.
I said I was down for 2 bards.
No.
We could have just all been bards, you know?
I don't think Jordan would have wanted to be a bard. And Jordan was a
fighter. It would
fighter.
have been the funniest bard if Jordan played a bard that wanted to be a fighter.
Okay. Next D&D campaign, we're just all in the College of Bards. Bard. But yeah, and I was trying to fill in the gaps, and I wanted to have a Katniss Everdeen moment, but an angsty Katniss Everdeen moment. So I was like, Ranger.
So a Katniss Everdeen moment.
Yeah. A little bit more angsty, a little bit more horse. Anyway.
Horse girly.
I never decided to make her a horse girly. It just was forced upon me. Mm-hmm.
It makes sense though. You are in a very rich family, so
yeah. I wanted to fill in was my TLDR answer.
I'll go next. I was the bard that Renee said we had already before Bela asked to be a bard. It sounded like fun. I've played a ranger before. I've played a monk before. I think a bard kind of lets me still be silly as much as I want to be. Bards are just good at stuff. Not necessarily combat, but they're good at other things, which makes the rest of the game so much fun.
Also, PE's Bard is a homebrewed class that I kind of helped build and create, and it's 99% done. But yeah, stuff like that too is just kind of fun as far as, not a traditional bard necessarily.
I decided to be, I guess technically I'm a fighter barbarian. I've only played one other campaign, and I'm like a rogue, super not up close and personal, from the shadows, everything range attacks all the time. So I think one, it just sounded like fun to be a little bit more in the fight and not be using a ranged weapon. And then some of the abilities that barbarians have early on are just cool, but I do plan on kind of going the rest of my journey being fighter.
Yeah, so it was just kind of nice because it felt like a very well-rounded kind of group. And so I think that's always the thing that I like to see in the parties is, honestly, if everybody was the same class, I think we'd still have fun telling a fun story. And so I think things shaped out kind of the way that they were supposed to as far as your classes. So, I mean, hopefully everyone's having fun playing the classes that they are, but because we still have a lot of stories to tell, we're going to keep the story going. This is a question from Kendra in Texas.
Shout out Kendra.
I would love more character backstory in general. Growing up as kids, the 5-year gap, and Val and Pierce were gone. How did Buka actually meet Hecken and so on? So I guess I can kind of throw it out. We've kind of played with it on kind of what the 5-year gap has looked like a little bit with all of you guys. But I think the one that was probably the most fleshed out is with Buka and Hecken still being in town. But I don't know how much PE wants to share about Buka's backstory, because it's stuff that hasn't necessarily come into play.
Right. It hasn't come into play yet, and we're still deciding, I think, whether or not that's going to affect the story moving forward. But Buka, as a child, as you can tell from early on in the campaign, very much clings to people, did as a kid, does as a semi-adult, and when all of his friends left him alone, he needed guidance, and was drawn to somebody who had expertise in something. And Hecken was a not dangerous to Buka influence, but interesting enough for Buka to want to play along and follow. So I think that's really how he and Hecken hit it off. The specifics of how Buka and Hecken met, couldn't really tell you. I haven't thought about that really, but I will.
Yeah, maybe we'll have some flashback episodes from time to time in the next chapter.
But I think with someone like Hecken, which I mean, all of your characters have met him, and obviously Buka's character has that relationship with him. But I think the way that I first described it to PE was that he is not necessarily a good man, but he's not a bad man. He does run, he is a crime lord of the south part of the city and is not afraid to get his hands dirty, I think. But at the end of the day, does have a set of codes that he does follow. And so I think he does not really believe in the motto of like, there's no honor amongst thieves. I think he really does have that. And so for him, he's very much inclined to protect his and his own. And so that includes the people that work for him. Before we go to any other questions, do any of my players have any questions or had like a what if or anything like that?
I think one what if comes to mind when we were escaping the cave after killing that
brood mother.
Obviously, we made it out, but I don't know if we ever really talked about because like towards the end, some people like got hit and failed on some of those attempts to get to the elevator. Like, what would have happened had they not? Like, would we have had follow-up opportunities, last minute save, or could people have died?
Yes. So the reality is, I think at that point we were already 20 plus episodes in, and I think there was a lot of opportunities that were in the system when you guys were escaping that allowed you guys to be more on the side of success. But the reality is that there was always the possibility, and it was an increasing possibility as the difficulty got more and more difficult, that somebody could have died. I was willing and ready to kill one of your characters at episode 20 or 21.
You don't have to lie, Renee. You've been ready to kill one of us since the beginning.
I've been ready this whole time.
3 at the end that almost Bela was on to Leia.
And Catriona. No, sorry. Catriona was ahead. I don't think we've seen the last of the 3 that you guys were traveling with in that arc. So Catriona, Talea, and Cavino. So like what capacity in the story, I'm not necessarily entirely sure either. But obviously you guys built relationships with these 3 people. And so honestly, in a situation like that, and like a significant failure or like a critical failure, probably would have offed one of them first. And so that obviously might have changed the future trajectory of what the rest of even that arc looked like as you guys left.
It's like Fire Emblem rules, right? Somebody dies, they're gone forever, and you don't get to continue their story.
That's life.
That is life.
But that is life. So, but I think that's kind of what it looked like. So I think one of them probably would have done something along the lines of using the last of their movement or their action to push someone out of the way, but I think that would have been at the cost of one of those characters. So we probably just wouldn't have had one of those NPCs when you guys left the cave.
Question regarding that battle. So because Val didn't touch the gem and just swooped in with the bag, would something have happened if someone just touched it and just grabbed it with their hands?
You don't know.
Yeah, I was like that gem's not.
The gem is still alive. It's still in play.
The gem is still currently in a glass cage. Currently being studied by mages at the keep. So
dang.
You guys are more than welcome to investigate that when we are back in the keep. So this question is for Val's character. And so does Val have any interest in possibly fixing her relationship with her parents?
As a Bela answer, I want to say no, because I think it's funny to continue the bit of I hate them, they're the worst people ever, because it really builds her as a character. But do I think Val would? I think Val would want to fix her relationship with her parents. I mean, it is her parents, right? It would heal the deep, crusty wounds within her being. So, yeah.
Follow-up question for you. Do you feel like, is it what they do and you feeling like they do, not necessarily bad things, but borderline work with bad people? Or is it just the fact that they've just not been present during your life?
It was that they're not present for her. And when they are present, they're not letting her be who she wants to be. They make her be the type of person they think is the best.
Especially with your dad, I think it's almost the opposite of Hecken, where, describing Hecken, he's not a good man, but he's not a bad man. I think looking at your parents, and I think especially your dad, we're he's not a bad man, but he's not a good man.
Thinking about Val's parents' company, right? Their business. Is their business inherently bad? No,
I don't think so. No. But
it could be more ethical,
right?
Probably. We haven't. I don't think I've even done a full scale of what's the ethical impact of their mining stuff. But a big part of it that you guys did learn kind of early on, and I don't think necessarily that Buka and Pierce's characters were there for that, but during the dinner party and things like that, or we first met Gilmore, that a big part of it is the fact that they are constantly trying to seek connections in relationships with very powerful people. And I would say that they don't necessarily have a strict moral compass on who they are doing business with, just can they do business with them.
Yeah. So in a lot of ways, it is the opposite of Hecken, where Hecken's company is not very good, but the company he keeps is. Right.
Because I mean, Buka's character obviously has felt that, where even towards the end, it's like my PTO is running out. Because also realistically, the money you walked away with is honestly more than you would probably make in.
It's more than enough. If we're thinking about, living in an alternate world ever as ourselves, a made up world with gold and platinum and silver like this, being in a scenario where you just get handed a sack of coins and say, hey, take all your PTO, that's sick.
Before we go into more questions about individual characters, the question we had was talking, I guess, about narrative planning versus like the improv part of it. Is the plot mostly pre-planned, or is there player improvisation that steers the scenes? And then how much narrative do you guys prep in advance?
This is a question for you, bro.
Well, I mean, I think the reality is, I mean, you guys
I prep nothing.
I show up.
I mean, you guys as players though can attest to the fact that the reality is, because you guys are the decision makers in the story, I'm not. I just make the world look pretty. And so I guess this is kind of actually more of a question for you guys than it is for me. Is this pre-planned or is it improvisation?
If it was pre-planned. Oh man.
I think the only time that we have even a chance to try to, like, I guess, think ahead or plan is like when an episode ends. And if as many episodes have ended on cliffhanger, we know what's going to happen next in the next episode. And so we can kind of think about what we want to do. But like, even then, it doesn't always work out that way, because I might have a plan for how I want to move forward or attack, or questions I want to ask, or like what I want to learn. And then like it comes back and like I roll bad initiative, don't get to do what I do.
Oh, he's dead.
Like,
cool. That's great. That's fine.
Yeah. Or like I really wanted to learn something, but my role for investigation is also bad. So I'm like, okay, sick. Back to the fact that I know nothing, and we're just going to go with it.
Even then, at the end of an episode, all we know is what's going to happen in the next 5 seconds of the next episode. And then after that, it's all up in the air. It's all up to Renee. Do we actually get to do the things we want to do or plan to do? You'll hear us plan things during the episode. It never works out. Hardly ever. Which is, I think, the best part about playing an improvised game. If it was scripted, we wouldn't be surprised, or we wouldn't have genuine reactions to being surprised. It's a lot of fun.
For me, like the thing that, my players have heard me talk about is, like I said, I just do set design. Like that, I just do set design and I do casting, and that's it.
Sometimes threats. Sometimes threats of killing my father figure when I want to make Buka's pants light up so Pierce can see.
Listen, nothing has been recorded or posted, so there's no proof of this.
Hey, there's no proof of that. Yeah,
there's no proof of that. But
help.
I guess the other side of the coin for this question is, Renee, how much of our decision making has derailed your game planning?
Not a crazy amount. I would say like 25 to 30%. It's a sweet spot. It's a good chunk. But no, I think one thing that's really cool, as much as I might have ideas of where I see the story going, or, their characters' decision making of what they want to do next, I think what's cool about it is, and I've shared this before with all of them, of in the grand scheme of things, even though I'm the DM and they're the players, I'm only doing 25% of the work. And so each of them is doing the other 25%. And I think that's always like a really cool thing to see when the camera follows my players. Like I make the set design and I kind of describe what things are or everything, but at the end of it, they can choose to do something or not do something. But I think just as much as we're active participants in this, for the dice. And so the dice honestly have a bigger decision in how things play out than I as the DM do. Dice want to tell their story too. And if they decide things are going to play a certain way or shake out a certain type of way, like that's on the dice. That's not on.
I guess building off of that, one more question is there a moment in the story or any part of the campaign so far where you were, I guess disappointed is the wrong word, but you were really hoping that it was going to go a certain way and it didn't?
No, because I think any moments where I saw the story going one way and then not another, funny enough, are any scenes, listeners can go back to the last 30 episodes. I think any scenes like that have always been the ones where I'm probably the most quiet. and it's you guys, running the scenes and you guys having those conversations, especially like with each other. And I think those are the scenes where you guys make a decision, or a conversation with like a character, like Val's distrust of Cavino, for example.
Distrust of everyone.
Yes, because
most people.
You can say he was too pretty. We get it. Yeah.
probably
He is good looking.
He is good looking, but also there are other good looking characters in this campaign where I'm just like,
I'm just trying to make them all good looking. But the reality is, knowing the brood mother was something that we would probably lead into. That's gonna be difficult for 3 players. So it's cool. Like, how can we even out the fight a little bit? So creating characters that will help balance that out. And then, so in my head, okay, well, now they're distrustful, but I'm like, we can play off of that. So
Cavino just died. Well, almost died. He just kept getting stuck.
He almost died twice.
Listen, but he was helpful on the way out.
Right.
Yeah.
He was.
And we got a cool bag.
And we got a cool bag.
Yeah.
And he got 2 horses and a carriage.
Did he come back?
We're gonna find out. We'll find out. We'll find out in
Manifest
chapter 2.
in destiny.
We'll find out in chapter 2 of this story.
He hopefully made it back. Hopefully made it back with the gem too, right?
No, we had the gem.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you guys dropped off.
We had the gem.
We have another listener question. This one is for Pierce, because Jordan, you can answer this one. But learning languages? ? Is this a normal mechanic in the game?
No. So there wasn't. This is something as a player, I was just more or less curious of, and then I did feel like it kind of fit Pierce's character a little bit, just being that he was in the military, done a lot of traveling, very like just logical thinker, so he just likes to learn. I looked up there's literally anything and everything online for people making mechanics for things for D&D that don't have technical like rules. So we slightly talked about it, but essentially right now I'm trying to learn Dwarvish, mainly of the note that I found in my dad's office that's in Dwarvish, and I decide what language I want to learn. Renee, as the DM, decides like kind of the difficulty rating of that language, whatever that may be, and I think Dwarvish was like an 85 or something is what we decided. And then once a week I roll a d20, and whatever I roll, I just slowly add up a score until I hit 85, and then I'm fluent. I think you said at 70 or something, I could read, but I wouldn't be able to keep up with like a verbal conversation. There'll be like
so there's
kind
little
of
milestones.
Yeah. Right now I'm trying to learn Dwarvish.
If only real life was that way.
Yeah.
But also Fireball. So another question from a listener, and then this one is, I guess, a question for me, but talking about Cavino's character, more specifically the traveling past, kind of how did you decide to come up with that character? And I think a lot of it has to do with how I build just NPCs or non-playable characters as a whole. One, I think for me, whenever I come up with NPCs, it's a combination of one, in the simplest way, what just sounds cool, and what's a character that I think would always be fun to play or to have that I don't necessarily get to play or have on my own. It's like, wait, all the NPCs are all of my characters, so that's great. And so I think part of it is just what's cool. I did want to create something, because I always did plan on you guys ending up with the bag of holding. So part of it was what's like a natural way that you guys would have like a bag of holding. And I think in a world that's very magical, a bag of holding is still kind of not incredibly rare, but it is not like every shop has one. And so what's like a way we can do that of having someone that does travel and has experienced the world. And I think it was a way for me to also, in some way, shape, or form, kind of introduce the rest of the world of Solivant. Because for the listeners, explore 2 nations or 2 countries, but the reality is there's 5 more out there, and then they all have their own kind of ecosystems, own political things, own religious themes, own NPCs that haven't been even created. And so I think for Cavino, I wanted to have like a character that if you guys had been asking questions or were curious as players about something, like having someone that had that traveling experience that you guys could hypothetically use as a resource or a guide of some kind. Did any of you guys have any other what ifs or questions before we move on to other questions? You guys as players, I think, have had front row seats to the whole thing. Questions get answered because you guys will just ask it when the mics turn off.
They don't know that.
They don't know that, but it's the reality of recording.
We don't talk outside of recording. What do you mean?
We're not even friends, dude.
We're not.
It's so many memes. That's all it is.
Hot salad.
Ugh.
For the listeners, there is
Oh,
a corrupted file that involves. So at any point, so this is actually no. This is a good time.
Let's talk
to
about
clear,
it. Let's talk about
no,
the
let's
vault.
clear the air. Let's clear the
Yeah.
air because it's been said in game now, which is now considered an off mic bit, which makes no sense. But there is a
For us.
corrupted file. So we recorded a session when our players first left Alcor and we're traveling to like Elder. That something happened and where the genuinely like an hour of audio was just cut, and so we ended up re-recording. But in the original one, there was a mention of Buka attempting to cook
Yeah, he was in charge.
cook a salad,
Mm-hmm.
and so hot salad became.
Okay.
Was what we were
Listen.
fed.
Listen, I'm explaining right now. I have a lot of fun. Sometimes nothing's going on up here. So when I say I want to make dinner, and logically you would think, okay, what would I want to make? I didn't ask myself that question. So when Renee asks me, what are you cooking? I froze and said salad, which
On the
we all know
campfire.
does not need to be cooked. And
And
It
we
goes-
learned.
For our listeners,
and we have.
you don't have to cook your salad.
You can.
Please don't.
I have
Hey.
had a crispy spinach, like they like pan fried it. It was really good, and there was like a light vinaigrette.
I can guarantee that what was served to you guys as players was not pan fried.
It was crispy spinach. Yeah.
It was just
It was vegetable
hot.
tempura. What are you
It was
talking about?
hot lettuce. It was hot lettuce, hot kale.
Mm.
If you're listening and you do that, I do judge you and I do look at you differently.
Please tag us in your recipes. We'll try them on the next video special.
And we will block you after. So
Renee will. I won't.
I will 100% block. Do not talk to me. Do not try to contact me in any way.
I
shape,
run
or
the
form.
Everybody send Renee pictures of you making hot salad.
Mm-hmm.
Spam it.
There
I'll
you go.
repost all of them. Do not worry.
This question goes out for Buka. If Buka wasn't a bartender, what do you think he would be doing?
Ooh, what's really funny is a little backstory that is already kind of shared in the campaign was Buka's mom worked at the keep as sort of a housekeeper help around the keep. And that's all Buka really knew growing up. So when the opportunity came to continue to serve people, he took it, right, as a bartender. I don't know if he would end up in any other situation other than serving other people. It's just what he knew his entire life, and it provided for his mom and his family. I threw an idea at the wall, maybe a ship hand,
Oh,
finding another authority figure who commanded a strong family or crew and just kind of attaching himself to them and
One
serving them
Piece.
in any way, right?
yeah. Well, then I guess I'll kind of throw out the same question, but for our other two players. Yes, if Pierce had chosen not to pursue what his dad had done, what would he be doing? And then if Val had to pick a job, what would it be?
You had to work.
I wanted to work. Patrice's bachelorette. I was working.
So funny. That would have been a bartender.
But I think for me, the visual that I have in my head of Val's cosplaying as a worker.
It's that
It's
friend. You're like,
it's the
oh, I work
difference-
for
it's the difference
fun.
of, this is so much fun. And then people are like, I need to make a certain amount of tips or I can't pay for electricity
Ooh.
and rent.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's the difference.
That's real. That's real.
Shout out to all the service workers out there.
We see you.
Tip them, please.
Tip your baristas.
I think that Val would find a way to make shopping her living and spending money. So like a procurer of antiques type of like showroom
Oh.
thing.
Oh no.
Honestly,
What? I think it
honestly,
works.
I think it would start
so
off like
funny.
that. I genuinely, I think you mentioning that, I think in a turn of events, I think Val would probably end up like Lena.
Yeah.
Because I think canonically, Lena probably started more along, maybe not necessarily a super legit way, but kind of just like, oh, I've been hired to procure items for,
A curator. Yeah.
yeah. And then
A
eventually
small
just-
business owner, if you will.
I feel like Val would have been more of a criminal than Buka is.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's
Accidentally.
crazy.
He would just veered that direction.
But I think the difference would be Buko is blue collar crime. Is white collar crime. Canonically, not canonical. So there you go.
Dang. One day.
One day. What about Pierce?
I don't think Pierce had a plan B at any point because of his dad. Had like military not been the plan, or like as a player thinking it's Pierce as a character, I think he does love the traveling, but I don't know if Pierce would have known that until after being in the military, that he enjoyed that. And he like structured like Cavino. He wouldn't be able to do just the travel adventurer with like no plan.
Ooh, I think, and maybe this is me just combine Jordan and Pierce. I think being maybe like a traveling cartographer would be cool.
Personal trainer.
That would be cool.
A personal trainer.
I was thinking a lifestyle influencer. Every morning he's waking up, going on 3 runs before 8 o'clock.
Flushing water, bottled water in your face.
I start run clubs in all the cities that I have.
You start run clubs, but then never show up for them because
You're
you
too
move on to the
famous.
next city.
Yeah, I'm there for a week to get it going, and then decide who the new leader of the run club of
You are in
Lake
charge.
Elder is. Yeah, you got this. Cartographer would be cool. I think the only other thing that I can think of is like a merchant of some sort, so I could travel on like boats and stuff, like a trader.
I think honestly, I think if I lived in Sullivan, I'd do something like that. Like live by the water, live by a port city, and just run like maybe like a mercantile company or some kind of like
Maybe even being in charge of the dock
That'd be kinda
itself.
So you can do your morning jogs on the dock, but also watch all the dock.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing
Short
is
answer,
pirate
Pierce
like
doesn't know.
spinoff.
Pierce is not going to be a pirate. He's
No.
too lawful.
Be a lawful pirate.
This question is for Buka, kind of the inspiration behind Buka's character, but specifically, why is your weapon a rapier?
Oh, this also goes back to playing as children. We used to fight all the time, or pretend to fight. And of course, Pierce always had his long sword or his practice sword, and Buka couldn't swing a long sword. But I believe we established that Pierce's dad taught us how to fight, taught us how to sword play.
Yeah.
So credit to Pops, seeing Buka's strength in lack of strength, and more so dexterity, teaching him to use a rapier. Now, how Buka got his current rapier, I don't know. It's not a very ornate blade, but I think maybe he got this rapier from Hecken through one of the many jobs that Buka had to work while living life with the crew, you know?
Yeah, I think you worded it really well of finding strength in your lack of strength. Canonically, Buka is a little bit stronger than he was, obviously.
And when we first started, we had to make some adjustments. Buka is not that Buka's not strong at all. He's just not as weak as we thought he was.
Yeah.
Or I pictured him being, which is great. He is a little bit dumber than I originally planned, which is also great. It leads to a lot of fun.
And I think that kind of goes also to the freedom that your guys' characters have of things are adjustable, and I don't think anything's set in stone. And I think there's something cool about telling a story that you've heard me say the example before, but we're not writing a book. Like that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to tell a story and together, and I think what's cool is we adjust as we go, and it's not a perfectly set direction of this is where the story is going to hit. I as the DM have an idea of what direction I think we're going to go, but if in 30 episodes 8 of those have already gone completely different from what I expected, it's like cool, what is that going to look like at 50 and at 75 and at 100? So but I think we're just always constantly adjusting, so I always think that's fun. One of the questions we had was which I think ties into what we're talking about, is how do you balance character-led roleplay with broader world events, things like the coronation or Crystal Talons becoming who they became? And so I think with something like that, I think that's probably the biggest challenge that I have as a DM, is like this is where the characters that coincide with the story that is happening in the world. There are things that happen that, the coronation affects one of their really, really good friends, Weaver. And so that one was kind of like a personal one. But the reality is there's multiple factors now at play. And there's the Pyre, there's the Children of Mercy, there's the Crystal Talons. And so now that there's all these different groups, I think for me as a DM, my job is just to kind of present, well, now also meeting the houses of Dekaria, there's these big events that are happening in the world. And now it's kind of up to the players to choose which of those threads. But I don't know how you guys feel about like the decision-making process for that.
Yeah, I think the difficult job of a DM is we are the players, we're playing in the game, but they're telling a story that shouldn't necessarily be centered around us as the players or us as the characters, right? So our job as players is to make the events that Renee has put into the world relevant to us, because we want to achieve the things that our characters want to achieve, and these events are basically excuses for us to go explore and reap the benefits or consequences of our actions, right?
I mean, I think Pierce thinks very similarly to the way I think as an actual person, which was relatively purposeful, so that I could play the character a little bit more like close to the heart. Like I just like understand Pierce, and like my initial thoughts and responses and what I want to say like make sense for Pierce. And just learning about the world and anything and anyone is like where Pierce is pulled to. So like when groups are brought up like Crystal Talons, and like in the moment as a player I'm like, does Pierce know who the Crystal Talons are?
Oh,
and
yeah.
Renee's like, oh yeah, no, you would know. And now I just like want to know more about the Crystal Talons as a player and as a character. Same with like the Children of Mercy and things like the Conclave. Like I didn't really know anything or much at all about Stakaria. I think that's part of why I love all the travel, because I get to learn more about the world.
Yeah, I think there's times too where I'll create like a group or an event or whatever, and then just knowing Jordan, I'm like, if I make this sound cool, I know Jordan's going to be really interested in it, and he's going to ask a lot of questions about it. And then because there's one of the houses that we meet briefly that are known as like the Lord and Lady of like the Iron Coast, and all I hear quietly in the background is, damn, that's cool.
I guess that brings up a really good question too, because we're role playing characters, but Bela, how much? Right, that's my question. How much of yourself do you see in Val, and how much of it do you have to like create a lens for yourself to then see it through Val's eyes and respond in the way that she would, as opposed to the way you would?
Okay, so originally I was gonna try to make Val this like less soft, more badass, like I don't care, like very chaotic, but like for the good of her own self. But as we kept playing, I just felt like it morphed into just a little bit of a cooler version of me. And that line blurred so hard, and I'm like, I don't know if it's Val or Bela at this point, and that's okay, because like Jordan was saying earlier, it just makes our genuine reactions happen and how I would answer, and it makes it just easier and more enjoyable. The next character I want to play for sure, like put more of a lens and more of a boundary for myself. For now,
this will be years from now the way that the campaign is taken out. So,
I know.
So you better get used to Val for a while.
I mean, do I have to get used to her if she's just me at this point?
Wow.
Dang.
Wow.
I love my parents
in the world, huh?
My parents are good people, IRL.
Right.
Just to clarify.
Shout out parents.
So at this point, one and the same. But what about for the other two?
My video is so great.
I hope you guys are watching this, because I'm just literally staring at Jordan, waiting for him to go.
Yeah, I wonder if
Jordan touched on this though.
He did.
Order on
So, but do you feel like for Jordan and for Pierce is the same at this point?
Really close. Yeah, probably pretty similar to Bela and Val. I modeled the character. I mean, there was parts of the character that I just like I wanted because I relate, and then aspects of the character like as there's like the growth of Pierce through like the 30 episodes, and then even still now that I'm trying to like build Pierce into what I like pictured him to be. But the way that Pierce thinks, the traveling, being in the military is literally all same for me.
For Buka, I guess I'm the least similar to my character, not because Buka's not reflecting me in any way. I think Buka is the epitome of my childishness and my soft side, my feeling side. He's soft, bro. Buka is so soft. Though for those who know me, I am kind of soft, but not nearly as soft as Buka is. And I think something that I'm really enjoying in this campaign is letting myself see the world through a more childlike, soft lens than I see my regular life.
I love that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Buka's gonna have to harden up a little bit as the story continues. So we'll get to see what that looks like for
Let
sure.
him cry. I'll wipe
pretty
away
sure he
his
already
tears.
has.
I think for you guys, because at this point we've been playing for technically a little bit longer, but as far as this campaign that we're on, we've been playing for a little over 6 months at this point. And so, we play pretty frequently, and, we obviously have these recorded. But I think for you guys, as we kind of wrap up in these next couple of questions as you guys are, to some capacity, there is that relation that you guys have with your characters, that there is a lot of similarities. There's a lot of like things that you as a person value that your character will probably value because of that. And that's not necessarily always the case, but is there something in playing your character that has helped you process like something personal in real life, or like how you go
Mm.
about thinking about something. Because I feel, and I'll start off while you guys kind of think about that. I've shared this before, or I've shared this with people before, that I find myself being a more empathetic human being after DMing for years now, because so much of my process as a DM is creating characters, and these are both allies and enemies, helpful people, non-helpful people, good and bad people. But I think there is something, because I've also shared this before, D&D, not therapy. Just say everyone, hey, everyone listening, D&D is not therapy. But I do think D&D can be therapeutic, because it's role playing. It's you're putting yourself in the shoes of another person, even if it is similar to you. But I think there is something that is helpful and creating empathy when you are literally role playing and putting yourselves in all these different characters. And I think for me, I find myself being a more empathetic person, because the life experience that I've created for myself, quote unquote, is broad, creates a big expanse. And so I think I am able to understand a lot more where people are coming from. And I don't know if it's necessarily me being a more sympathetic person, but I think it's me being more empathetic. But for you guys, specifically playing your one character, like, do you feel like there's anything that, like, and you don't have to go super deep, obviously, but like, do you feel like there's been stuff that your characters have helped navigate, whether it's this one or previous characters?
I think that I didn't realize how important chosen family was for me before playing Val. And I think going through this, it really kind of heightened how important, like, having your people and your chosen family around with you, and like that support system.
Playing D&D really kind of has helped me escape from the seriousness of life, right? We can be as silly as we want. We can be as serious as we want, get angry at each other, laugh really hard, cry, send memes, snap screenshots of each other falling asleep on the camera. That's not specifically us, but
We would never.
but we would, yeah, right. We would never do that. Also, to echo kind of what Renee is saying, like the variety of minds and characters that you get to see just because somebody has thought of them and created them, it really broadens your horizon and understanding of just people, right? And empathy is a good word for it. It's like, dang, there really can be somebody whose entire philosophy is that they just want to kick your ass. Whether that's somebody in the real world or somebody in D&D, we got ops out here, right? And they exist, and it's okay, because we're gonna fight their ass and we're gonna kill them. No, just joking. Don't kill people unless it's in D&D. Then you get
Or
to level up.
the CEO of health insurance. Free my boy Luigi.
For me, learning to not necessarily accept, but just like be okay with things not going the way that I want. Because I mean, life is that way all the time. But D&D is like, there's like certain moments that you're like, oh, just please roll, please roll. And then you don't, and you're like, that sucks. And then the next moment, you roll like an at 20, and you're like, you're still stoked. No, it's not as relevant. So I think just in like real life, trying to remember, I'm not rolling dice, but sometimes things don't go the way that we want, and that's okay. And then things
we're really rolling dice.
the sometimes the smaller things that do go really well, or that random hangout or encounter that just like, especially like as baristas, we're encountering people all the time, and like the simplest encounter with a customer sometimes can make your day.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you roll
break.
initiative and fight them. Yeah.
Today I am learning patience with you.
Yeah.
Roll for patience, not one.
Roll a wisdom saving throw to not fight. I think what's really cool about D&D is the amount of autonomy we have. It feels like you get to make whatever decision you want, and technically you do, but a lot of the consequences of that is left up to chance, and it really puts a magnifying glass on that happening in real life. We can only control the things we can control, and dice will fall where they may.
Do you stay in character between sessions, or do you mentally turn them off?
Oh no. It really depends how long we've been playing, I guess. If we're pulling a back to back, I feel like I don't leave. I don't leave Buka. I'm just in it the whole time.
How can I turn Val off if I am Val?
Well, I think I have the freedom of being the DM of like, because I don't have a set like character, that I find myself thinking about D&D a lot in my day to day, in like the week or so that we won't play, during like that week where we won't play. But I do find myself constantly thinking about that. But I don't know if it's different for you guys having like a character where you're like, I am that person.
I mean, I think normally we meet every other week, so I'd say I definitely think about it throughout the time that we're not playing, but not really like necessarily stuck in my character. But then there's also been weeks where we recorded like 3 times in 1 week. So fun. It's just like everything's so fresh in our minds. And when we normally record every other week, when it's been like 4 days, it's like feels like we just recorded yesterday. So more so because I'm like, I feel like I don't have a lot of time.
I find myself not thinking about Buka often, but more so thinking about the story we want to tell and being really excited about the events that are going to happen. And then it circles back around to, okay, how would Buka deal with that if that were to happen? But I think Renee can attest to literally earlier or last week, I gave him a call. This is completely unrelated to the podcast. We play in another game. And I gave him a call because I was worried that something that happened to my character in that game was going to derail the story. I was like, we're in the heat of it. We're in the thick of it. Are we make it okay for me for my character not to be taking the story?
This has been a 3-day combat session. So it's been 3 sessions of just combat.
Right. So I'm more so worried about us as a group than I am worried about Buka all the time.
You know, I do find myself thinking about the story and worrying if you're gonna kill off one of my favorite NPCs as a threat or a promise. I'm not sure. Okay, that's please. She needs to go. No, I hate that bitch. Question for you though, not to answer or ask a question with a question. Do you find yourself making like NPCs or like things? Because you were talking about how the house was specific, was like Jordan's gonna think this is so cool. Do you make things within our campaign specific for each of like the people
100%.
we are?
I knew you were gonna hate Maria the moment I introduced her. I knew for a fact. And I know part of it is his character, but I also knew, knowing PE, that he was gonna like find heckin' funny because so I'll go down the list and then this will go into our last. Jordan is someone that, just from getting to know him and playing with him for years now, that something that has a lot of like, Jordan loves lore and backstory for stuff. For him, that's cool. So then it's like, cool, why are they the Lord and Lady of the Iron Coast? What's the Iron Coast? Where is that at? His brain will automatically go there. So then it's like, cool, then I just have to follow that thread. And I think knowing like you, Bela, like obviously we've known each other for years. I think it's the same way of like, I know what are the things, especially the type of character you're playing, because I think if Val was a different kind of character, I might introduce different types of NPCs just realistically. But I think as someone that is playing that, like, is kind of soft girl, but is still edgy and you know, very, very first session, you said that's basically what 13-year-old you would think you're the coolest kind of energy. But because of that, I also know what kind of characters you would hate. And I love getting to kind of like not poke the bear, but seeing that edgy side of Val.
There's nothing Renee likes more than making us mad.
Yeah. But same thing with thinking about, just because I know PE as a person, and then because I know that there's so much connection in his character, because he does love being goofy when he's playing and getting to get a reaction from somebody, or like, how crazy can we get? Having a character like Heckin, who is by all definitions just, he's the straight man in the joke. I know for a fact that like something like that will be so much more like enjoyable for him, because that's someone that he can constantly crack jokes at, and then Heckin will just answer just like a normal person would.
Earnestly, honestly. Yeah.
So I mean, the reality is like I think the thing that I get to enjoy most as a DM is getting to build that up for you guys, of what is the most interesting for you guys, because the thing that I enjoy as a DM, and also as a participant but also a viewer of the story being told, is you guys having fun, you guys enjoying it. And the story at the end of the day is tailored. Obviously we have listeners who are awesome, but at the end of the day, story's tailored for my 3 players. It's just anyone that's listening right now gets to just enjoy that story. That's just the simple way of going about how I, you know, play D&D with you guys.
I've got one last question for you, Renee.
Yeah.
How long do you see this story going?
I'm going to be very honest. If things go the way that I think they will, because there is a lot of story that I still think we have to tell, and there's a lot of exploration that we have. So anyone listening and you've made it this far, appreciate you. I think our story for these characters and for the story we're telling, and every chapter won't necessarily be exactly 30, but I think we're gonna I think our story will be 5 chapters.
Mm.
Whatever that ends up looking like. Lengthwise, I think it will be kind of like that. But that means the characters we're with and the story we're telling, we still have a bit to go. So that's kind of the questions that haven't been answered that we still need to answer. But also there's questions that haven't even been asked yet because there are things to come. And so I think that's what's really, really exciting. But I think with that, I'll go into our last question of what are you guys most excited for as we enter into chapter 2 of our story?
Got weird like full circle moment when you first asked us that like at the beginning of this campaign, and that makes me so happy and emo. And sensitive. Wow. Maybe I am Val. I'm crying and screaming.
Val.
Is Val Bela or is Bela Val? We'll never find out. Or listen to the rest of the episodes and find out. Whoa! I'm just excited to see where our characters go and to explore more of the specific nitty-gritty of like the land that you've created for us. And honestly, I just really enjoy like this tradition, I guess, like bi-weekly meetings. Just it gives me something to look forward to. So I just want to continue and just be with my little chosen family, you know?
I think the thing that I'm most excited for, oh man, chaos. I think it's chaos is what I'm excited for. I love when things get messy, and in the beginning of the campaign, right, when we're setting the table, everything's real neat. You know, and as we play with our food, things get messy. So I'm excited for it to get messier and to uncover more drama and suspense and action and explore feelings. Particularly, will Pierce ever share his? You know,
or
Will Catriona.
Right?
So he
yes.
He
said yes.
You heard it here first, folks. That's a spoiler for chapters 2 and 4, I think. Are we
And
right, Renee?
5.
We scripted this, right? So
Yeah.
chapter
and then
2
chapter
and
5 with
4,
the wedding.
right? Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start writing the fanfic. Do we have a ship name?
Ooh.
Patreon.
Patreon. Oh no. Patrice.
Pierce.
Patrice.
No.
Isn't Patrice the one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. You're looking into your future, my guy.
Oh gosh. Looking forward to, like Renee said, I do love the lore. Learning more about the world where we might go next. I'm already like as a character, first time in Sakaria, which is cool. Near-death experiences. Look forward to those. Whether it be like an all-out, fights like scenario, or like a caving in mine. You just never know. So I think it's all just fun. And then just like learning more about Salavant as a whole. As a character, I've been multiple places, more so than the rest, but still places I haven't been.
It's a whole world out there. I'm excited to just keep telling a story with you guys. I love doing this, and I plan on doing it for a lot more. So thanks you guys, my players, for being along for the ride. Thank you for all my listeners, for all the listeners that submitted questions.
Yeah, did you want to talk about the shirts, or did you want me to talk?
Surprise!
A little bit of a team effort. A friend of a few of ours did the art for us. My dad is going to be supplying the shirts, but we are going to make shirts for the podcast. A design has been decided, are going to make them available to purchase. Some listeners that will be getting a shirt free of charge as a thank you.
In Las Vegas, he has been listening and been super, super rad and submitted some of the questions, but love to give a shirt, and we're going to be giving a shirt to Marcus Maxwell in Las Vegas, who has been awesome, great listener, asking great questions, and just really involved in the whole process and supporting us. But he's been really, really great with that. So we want to show some love. And I believe in Texas, we have
Kendra. She is all the way caught up with the episodes, so she'll probably be listening to this one as soon as it gets posted, which is really cool. So we'll be also getting a shirt for her.
Yeah. So when this episode drops, we will be dropping the designs and then ways for anyone that would love to show some support, some love. At the end of the day, we are still a tiny little podcast, 4 of us running everything. And so for all of our listeners, please, please, please support. Please leave a review, tell your friends about it, post about us. It honestly is really, really helpful in just kind of getting out there and telling our story with everybody. And so same thing when shirts dropping, please show support. We would love for you guys, and the shirts are super comfortable, and so we're really excited for everyone to just have access to that as well. But with that, I believe any other things that I forgot?
That's all for me.
Yeah, I think that's it. I got nothing.
Post your hot salad recipes, thanks.
Don't tag me, I will not acknowledge you. With that, please, like I said, leave a review, tell your friends about us, buy a shirt, because by the time this episode drops, we'll have shirts available.
Buy 2 shirts, 7.
Buy all of them. It'll be great. And then I think with that, the only thing I have left to say is cue the music.
Heck yeah.
Let's go.
Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.